What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. I am your host, as always, Tony Mango, and joining me, as always, is Robert DeFelice.
Hello, Tony. How are you this fine evening?
I'm not too sure. I am anxious, I guess you could say. A little annoyed, a little happy, a little bored, a little tired, a little stressed. I don't know. It's kind of a mixed bag here. That's because we just got done watching TLC 2018, Tables, Ladders, and Chairs, and we are going to be talking about what happened on this event and breaking down our thoughts, positives, negatives, pros, cons, whatever the hell the case may be, hits and misses if we're doing a review point, a pay-per-view point, so to speak, of the review point side of things. I like my gimmicks. And this is a gimmick pay-per-view, so I guess first things first that I want to acknowledge is we had talked about this on our predictions, but that they had 12 matches for this card, and it seemed like it was an impossibility because they typically only have enough room for 7 to 9 matches. And, you know, even like WrestleMania, they've got extra hours, and they only had like 13 matches or so. So it seemed like it was like, well, how are they going to do this? They did it because they didn't have that many fucking promos ahead of time. And by eliminating video packages for all but a couple different things, they were able to squeeze this in. And TLC is not some giant pay-per-view of the year, but it was their opportunity to kind of like rush and cram things in and stuff like that. And I think that they did a good job with that. How do you think about that whole balancing act situation?
You know, we had made a lot about 12 matches, and honestly, it ran about as normal as a 5-match pay-per-view. They got a lot in. I wasn't a fan of what matches were in what spots, but they did get a lot in.
Yeah, they could have swapped a couple different things here and there. And one thing that I'll talk about when we get to it, but I really think that they shouldn't have had the Finn Balor and Drew McIntyre match right before the Mysterio Orton one in particular. But, we'll get match by match when it comes to this. The shortest match on the card was 5 minutes and 50 seconds.
Was that the Strowman match?
No, that was Mixed Match Challenge Finals. The Strowman thing was technically, according to Wikipedia, 16 minutes. Which is the 4th longest match.
Were they calculating the entrances and the post-match? Because
I'm assuming like the whole Strowman coming out, cutting the promo, all that kind of stuff. But the shortest one being the Mixed Match Challenge Finals, it kind of makes sense. And somebody had done the math. I didn't ahead of time. Sorry, I can't give them credit. But they had said that the average length of a pay-per-view match for this year has been something around the mark of 7 minutes. And if they would have done 7 minutes for like typical pay-per-view on this kind of thing with all of those video packages, they wouldn't have been able to do all this. But there's lots of matches here: 16 minutes, 12, 11, 30, 10:50. This was basically a 10-minute match kind of scenario, except for the 3 last matches on the card. And that's a good sign, I really hope that they look at this and they go, fuck, we were able to cram a lot in here. It's amazing what you can do when you don't have tons of video packages. And that was a refreshing change of pace. Same thing when it came to the pre-show, which had 2 matches on it. We had the Buddy Murphy and Cedric Alexander match for the Cruiserweight Championship, starting things off in something that I thought was a little bit underwhelming, honestly. These two are so good, and they've done better matches on 205 Live.
I did not see it, as you know. I didn't get home until right as the pay-per-view was starting. But, yeah, I can't say too many good things about Cedric Alexander right now. He's very vanilla for me. He's very just like, he puts on good matches, he's there, and there's no sizzle. There's a lot of steak, there's no sizzle.
Well, he's one of those people that I think you can depend on to pretty much just go out there, have a good match, and that's all you really need. But I felt like this just wasn't on par. Maybe they were off in the sense of being like, knowing that this was a rematch and that they couldn't really do anything that was going to match up to what they had done before or something like that. Or maybe they were just not having a good night or something. I don't know. But two people that I would consider to be two of the most entertaining people in the ring, they didn't really do it for me. And the rest of the pre-show stuff, outside of the other match too, it was just kind of, it was the same like superfluous type of stuff. You didn't really need to watch it. They didn't have any kind of backstage promos that were really all that special or whatever like that. So anybody's curious, you didn't miss anything. But they had one more match. They had the Elias and Bobby Lashley match. It was a ladder match, which, I mean, I remember them saying this. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but I had thought that they had said whoever grabs the guitar can use it to defeat their opponent. And that's ended up just being a regular ladder match. When Elias climbed up to the top, he grabbed the ladder, they rang the bell, he won the match.
I think they made a mistake, just as you did, when you said he climbed up and grabbed the ladder. But somebody must have just said, ring the bell, and then they were like, oh shit, no. We were supposed to do this stuff. Because that doesn't make any sense to me. The only other ladder match of this type in WWE history was the Triple H Kevin Nash Sledgehammer ladder match, and even that was, you get the hammer
and you can use it.
Yeah.
Which that created the whole argument that we were having before about, well, then why don't you just beat the person up with the fucking ladder? Like, this is why ladder matches don't work unless there's like a championship or something, or it's like the Money in the Bank briefcase. If you retrieve that, you win that. And when you retrieve the guitar, you win the guitar or whatever. Or like, there's no stipulation that would have to say, okay, well, Elias grabbed the guitar. That means that Lashley has to sit there and eat a guitar shot. No. And that's why they did what they did, which was Elias won the match. And then Lio Rush comes in and it's a 2-on-1 situation. And Bobby Lashley gets the guitar and hits Elias. So that way it's like, see, we got our cake and eat it too. Like that whole thing. So it's just kind of blah.
Pre-show? You think this was on the pre-show just to be like, as we'll talk about later, to get this stuff out of the way? Because like that whole storyline with Lashley, Corbin, and Drew versus whoever will no longer be a thing by like next week.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. And I think that another section of this was they knew that this was one of the least entertaining matches of the night. Like, the gimmick doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And it wasn't going to feature anything more than one guitar shot. And really, who cares about the feud all that much? So they needed to find time to fit everything else out on the card. Because this ended at like 10:50 or so. So they played it pretty close. And they did get rid of all of those video packages. So they must have planned it all out and said, look, if we give this 10 minutes and give this 12 minutes and we got like a minute and 2 or whatever of leeway, we still have to bump 1 to the pre-show. And if I were making the judgment call, I would have probably made it be the Mixed Match Challenge Finals because they were already simulcasting with the whole Facebook thing. But maybe there was an argument that they said, hey, let's do the first match on Facebook. And maybe people will be like, oh, I get to check the first match of TLC on Facebook. Oh, let me do that or whatever. Could have been just an experiment. At that point, every other match meant more. And if you would have put something like, say, the SmackDown Triple Threat Tag Title match, I think that the people would have been like, well, crap, why didn't just the guitar match go on there? Like, it makes sense. It was a shorter match, and we could just brush it aside, and who cares kind of a thing.
I guess it suffered because of the guitar gimmick, because I would make a strong argument that the only ladder match on the TLC show should have definitely been on the pay-per-view, no matter how stupid of an object they were fighting over. I would have put, if you were going to put one of these two, I'd have put Finn Balor and Drew McIntyre.
I think that they didn't do that because they like McIntyre more. And that's it. Because that really didn't have anything to it. So it's not like it was like, well, we need to make sure that that's that because it's a title match or something. Like,
Remember when Lashley was a big deal and he was fighting Roman Reigns?
Man, I'll tell you, I'm going to be writing up lists over the next like couple of days, weeks, whatever, of like the worst booking decisions and stuff over the year. And one of them that I am definitely putting on there is, why did it take so long to turn Bobby Lashley heel? They should never have brought him in as a babyface like that. Stupid decision.
Pulling back the curtain a little bit, I know you're doing a best top 10 winners, top 10 losers, or whatever. Lashley's got to be at least from 1 to 3. He's got to be up there.
Actually, I don't think I had him on the list at all.
Really?
I'll spoil my my notes at the very least. The people that might make the list. Oh no, I do have them on there. Okay. Yeah, I do have them. I have Enzo, Cass, Rich Swann, the Ely brothers, Chad and Gable, even though they won the titles, but they, it's still kind of losers.
Chad and Gable.
Hawkins, Maverick, Lashley, Mahal, Shinsuke, Ellsworth, WWE ratings, the morale of WWE fans, Mojo Rawley, No Way Jose, the Bella Twins, the Bludgeon Brothers. I can't have Asuka on there anymore because she just won that. We'll get to that later. Bray Wyatt, Matt Hardy, and Bayley and Sasha Banks. So yeah, Bobby Lashley is on that list.
Well, if I was writing it, I'd put him damn near the top of that list.
He's got a butt pose now. That's worth something, right? Jesus.
And as he flexes his butt, Lashley. Jeez. I don't know.
And that is your inspiration for Ace Ventura 3. It's just the butt thing again. Why not? Anyway, that was the pre-show. And as we mentioned, they rolled into the Mixed Match Challenge Tournament Finals, where the very first match of the official card, which saw Fabulous Truth beating MahAlicia. So Carmella and R-Truth are now the number 30 entrants in the Royal Rumble matches, which you guys were right. I will fully admit I was wrong about that. And when it comes down to what happens on there, 6 weeks from now when we get the Royal Rumble, let's see what happens. Because to me, I just can't see the dance break thing working well at the 30th spot. And I'm really hoping that they have a plan to replace R-Truth. Now I'm thinking if he gets replaced, he gets replaced with Shawn Michaels.
But we're not talking about the most important thing. They won a trip to go anywhere in the world. And apparently they were supposed to submit where they wanted to go before the match started. Carmella was unaware of this. And Truth said, "Don't worry, I got you. I got us. We're going to a cultural epic center." That's how he said it.
Epic Center.
We're going to WWE headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut.
So
I loved it.
This is where I get my confusion at the beginning of this, where I said, a little tired, a little annoyed, a little happy, a little sad, a little whatever, because there are conflicting points of view that I have with this. The troll, asshole, annoying prick in me absolutely loves this, because it's just like, that's ridiculous that he picks the WWE headquarters, and I am interested in all hell to see some kind of thing where like Truth is walking through, they film some skit and it's like they're, talking to the legal department and stuff, and he's just having like the fucking time of his life. But there's also that part of me that goes, I spent how fucking long doing coverage of Mixed Match Challenge for my site and eWrestling News and The Ring Report, and wrote up I don't know how many articles about the Mixed Match Challenge over the course of this whole thing, and actually watched the goddamn thing for a half an hour or so every week for, I don't know, 20 weeks or whatever the hell it was. And the whole thing boils down to a goddamn joke.
But the biggest troll to me was WWE headquarters is the height of, inclusive culture, and it's such a cultural epicenter, and it's everything. And I loved it. I laughed so hard. And then he's taken Carmella and he's trying to dance with her, and she's just not having it because she was like, "Oh, we're going to Barcelona or Paris? No, we're going to our headquarters in Connecticut." Yes.
Depending on what they do tomorrow night, which for anybody that's interested, tomorrow is a double taping of Raw and main event. So I don't know how we're going to necessarily do things as far as like the hot tags and stuff go, but what might end up being the hot tag that's like the big hot tag is just here's what they did on both shows. Let's talk about the spoilers. Let's talk about the thing that aired, like that kind of a thing. So they might record something and we might not be able to see it necessarily. Like they might do whatever they do for the recording tomorrow and then like air something on Monday Night Raw. I highly doubt it. I assume that since they're on the SmackDown side of things that we're going to see that on SmackDown coming up or something, but they're going to be doing a double taping of SmackDown too. So there might be something going on with this that we might have to wait 2 weeks for or something like that. But I like the idea. It's just a matter of, okay, well then now everybody can admit the mixed match challenge is pointless, you know?
I think they'll do it again relatively soon. Now it becomes, what is R-Truth going to do at the Royal Rumble, and who is the true number 30?
Shawn Michaels. That's the only thing I can think of, because
I'm going. I've been annoying with this, but I'm going with The Rock until I don't see him.
I think The Rock was supposed to be there for Roman Reigns, and the Rock Brock thing doesn't appeal as much. And now with that whole situation with Daniel Bryan being a heel, I think Seth Rollins wins the Elimination Chamber, and that's why they can push off not having Brock show up at the Elimination Chamber. And Bryan ends up fighting Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels comes in at number 30. He doesn't have to wrestle all that much. Wins the Royal Rumble, that kind of a thing. I think that's what we're getting.
I'd much rather see The Rock with a little bit of gray fuzz than more bald HBK. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know.
Maybe he'll wear a wig.
If it happens, I'm going to pop. I don't want to make it seem like I'm not into Shawn Michaels fighting anybody. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm definitely excited for January.
And now if Carmella does pop up at number 30 the way that she seems like she should be, the dance break will be number 30. It'll be a 7-second thing and she'll get eliminated. And that'll be it.
Yeah, because she'll come in. Let's assume she's number 30. There's 6 girls in the ring. It's Becky, Charlotte. Sorry, spoilers.
Yeah, it's Becky, Charlotte, and then the rest don't matter.
It's Nia, and the rest don't matter. They're all down. Dance break. Doing the thing. Nia eliminates her. Oh well.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? It might be Becky, Charlotte, Nia, Tamina. Just to have like, and Becky and Charlotte have to team up and, you know, that kind of fucking thing. We'll get to it. One other note that I have that I need to talk about is this is one of the many little flubs of the night. They started to play Alicia Fox's theme too early.
Yes.
They were still doing the what's up, and it was just kind of like, oh, whoops. Like, that got a chuckle out of me, you know. So the second match of the night was the SmackDown Tag Team Championship Triple Threat match, which was not necessarily a gimmick match, even though it was. No weapons were involved, nor were the rules followed, because the Bar, the Usos, and the New Day were in a scenario where 2 people were in the ring. That was how the match was supposed to go. They made a point to specify that. Of course, it goes to shit, and, you know, whatever. But at one point, one of the Usos tags Kofi, and the referee sees it. He, you know, does a whole... You know, saw that it's a tag or whatever like that. They make a point to go, all right, Kofi's just been tagged out, whatever. The Usos taking advantage of that. About 15 seconds later, that Uso is pinning Kofi and the referee's fucking going for it. And then they do another one. And then Cesaro somehow tags himself back in, even though he was the legal guy. And they're like, oh, look at that. Cesaro's legal now. And it's like, no, he was. And the pin shouldn't have happened. And, you know, it's just one of those things that gets under my skin. This should have been all 3 people in the ring.
They're better off branding it as a tornado tag or something, because you know it's just gonna go to shit. Like, the entire meaning of it is for it to go to shit.
Mm-hmm. They should have just had all 3 people in the ring at the time, and you still have to tag out, and it's not no DQ. It should have just been that. You know, or, you know, like, that's why you don't do triple threat matches on a card with a bunch of gimmick matches where you don't want it to be a gimmick match, because you're by default having it forcibly be a no DQ match, because that's just how triple threat matches work, and fatal 4-ways and fatal 5-ways and 6-man fatals or whatever the fuck Johnny Saint wants to call them. But I thought the match was decent. It was just sort of, this was one of those matches that I had nothing to say about, kind of.
It was good, but it was as good as I thought it would be. Maybe even a little underwhelming. And the Bar won. So I was just kind of like, eh. And one of the things that gets under my skin, and you can argue that the New Day are baby faces and want to play by the rules, but Sheamus bro kicks, I think it was Xavier, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And Big E is just like watching from the outside, and I'm like, you can get in there too. Stop it. You know, it drives me nuts, whether it's Survivor Series or a match like this, when somebody, whether it's a man on the outside or even a corner man, just like stands there and watches their guy get beat. I hate that. It's like, help him. Do something. Even if Big E tries to do something, even though he wasn't the legal guy, and Cesaro holds him, or something.
Or the Usos get involved and they, kick Big E or something. I don't know. They wouldn't have any reason to, because they wouldn't want Sheamus to win, but still, like, something could have happened, maybe.
But something that says, hey, we're actively trying to stop this. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking, but that's the way I would do my triple threat tag matches.
I probably just wouldn't do triple threat tag matches unless I wanted it to be all 6 people fighting each other all the time. Like, this really should have just been the Bar against the Usos, in my mind.
Where do they go from here? And
Bar against the Usos, because the Usos didn't take the pin. And the Usos win the tag titles and go into Mania as champions.
So I'm still a really big... I'm putting way more into this Vince thing than you are. And one of the things I really think he might do is kill the brand split. And I really think we might see unified champions by WrestleMania. And the tag division will thrive on that. Because you take the teams separately, and it's kind of like, all right, SmackDown's got an okay set of teams, and Raw's got a shitty one. You put everybody together, and now you have a pretty great tag division.
I think, and we'll talk about the specifics later on, but I think Asuka winning proves that the brand split's not going away. So
that's a fair point.
We'll put a pin in that for a little bit. We do know one thing that's going away is Baron Corbin as the leader of Monday Night Raw. And this is one of the things that I am actually the most fond of throughout the whole night, which was, going into this, is a TLC match. It didn't really factor in too much as a TLC match, but Baron Corbin thinks he's got this down because Braun Strowman isn't really able to compete because he's still, he had bone spurs taken out of his fucking elbow. So they start doing the countdown thing. He's got Heath Slater in his pocket. He's like, start doing the count and whatever like that. And Braun Strowman comes out. And in one of the rare instances of WWE understanding logic and booking logic, instead of just going like, I don't know, we'll make something up on the fly. If you were to tell me you've got a no disqualification match and this is the whole scenario and all that, if they wouldn't have done this, I would have suggested it to be like, why didn't somebody bring this up? It's just, you're bringing up how this Big E not try to get himself involved in that. Like, certain things are just kind of like, if this was real, this is how it would go down. And they did it, which was Braun Strowman says, it's a no DQ match. There's a lot of people you've pissed off that are perfectly willing to help me out here, and I don't have to fucking lift a finger. So Apollo Crews, Bobby Roode, Chad Gable, Finn Balor, they are all surrounding the ring. And the referee is Heath Slater. So he has no problem with this whatsoever because he just takes off the referee shirt and he's just like, yeah, I don't fucking like Corbin either. And they start going nuts, attacking him. He tries to run away and Kurt Angle comes out because Kurt Angle has beef with Baron Corbin as well because he was booted out as Raw general manager too. And this all leads to Slater counting the pin with Braun Strowman just putting his foot on top of Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin's out on Monday Night Raw. We need a new general manager. We know Braun Strowman is going to lose to Brock Lesnar at, well, they're not advertising it that way. We know Braun Strowman is going to fight Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania, at Royal Rumble, but we know that he's going to fucking lose to Brock Lesnar. It's just, they're not advertising it as, and Braun Strowman wins a match where he can lose to Brock Lesnar, you know.
Can you imagine if, like, when they did the preview, it was just, okay, folks, at the Royal Rumble, Braun Strowman will lose.
Yeah. They might as well. And just go, all right, 6 weeks from now, we're going to be talking about how he fucking lost. Because he's going to. It's a guarantee. And anybody who's thinking that they can do anything different, you're getting yourself set up for disappointment. But now we don't have Constable Corbin in charge, which I'm a little bit sad because I don't know what they're going to go with. And there's always a chance that when you change, that it's not changed for the better. So part of me, you know, the anxiety section of my brain goes, oh my God, this is going to be so much worse. They're going to do like, God, I can't even think of anybody who would be like in their realm of what they could potentially do that I would just absolutely hate. But there's a chance that this ends up being worse. There's a chance that it could be better. Like, we're going to figure that out tomorrow night. And I think that this is where the Vince McMahon thing is coming in. I think that the Vince McMahon announcement was kind of twofold. I think they know that the ratings have been suffering, and they wanted to announce that Vince will be there strictly more than anything else because they wanted to pop the rating, and they want people talking, and people are talking. So they're getting what they wanted. People are like, you know, oh my God, he's going to shake something up. What is it going to be? Like, your go-to is that he's going to end the brand split. I'm thinking people are going to just be disappointed afterward, and they're going to be like, really? He came out just to announce who the new Raw general manager is, and that's it? Or he pissed himself again? Or
they're not going to do that. I think I'm like comfortable enough knowing that they're not going to do like, well, I just wanted to come out here to do a dance. Like, they're not going to do that because they're openly advertising that he's going to make some kind of a big change. Now, he could just say, we're going to do a shakeup. We're going to do a superstar shakeup.
And they better not switch roster members or bring up people from NXT. I'm going to be pissed if they do, because I wrote a whole fucking article up about people that'll come up from NXT in 2019. And if they take them away and I have to redo that article, I'm going to be so pissed. But you know what he could also do? He could just say, we're going to, you know, like, establish a new general manager, and we got a big surprise for you, everybody. Things are going to change around here, and that's because I just signed Lars Sullivan, and he's a fucking freak, and he's going to just wreck shop. Because they did something on TLC here that is very similar to what we were just joking about with the whole, like, wouldn't it be funny if they announced at Royal Rumble, Brock Lesnar will beat Braun Strowman. They had a promo with Lars Sullivan saying, it doesn't matter what happens at TLC, when I come to Monday Night Raw, whatever, blah, blah, blah. They've been doing this whole thing of, you know, oh, is he going to go to Raw? Is he going to go to SmackDown? Both sides really want him. He actually just said, when I go to Raw.
He didn't say when I go to Raw. He said when I come to WWE.
He said Raw on something. I know I heard him say the Raw. So that's like, okay, we know that he's going to Raw. Just, you know, the Vince thing could be that. It could just be things are going to be different around here because we've got this freak and he's going to do this. Kind of like what TNA did all the time, where they used to be like, the wrestling industry is going to change forever because
here's Damian Sandow.
Ortiz is going to stand in the ring for a minute and then not do anything afterward. Or because we got Kimbo Slice to cut a promo, or you know what I mean?
The Vince thing, I think the phrase shake things up, whenever he said that, it has always meant brand related things. So it could be as big as we're going to end the brand split, or it could be, hey, we're going to have another superstar shakeup. And I'm starting right now Becky Lynch is on, and then it's, oh shit, Becky Lynch is on Raw. But I do think it'll be enough to say things are changing in the immediate. Now, one of those announcements could also be, we're going to shake things up and we're bringing in women's tag team titles. But I think Vince wouldn't do that. I think that's Stephanie.
Yeah.
I think that has to be Stephanie. Now, going back to what you were saying about the GM, I'm of the opinion that it should just go back to Kurt Angle. But I know that Callum and I, and you as well, and I know Jordan, wrote a whole piece about Alexa Bliss will be the new Raw General Manager, and it'll be great. It could also be Hulk Hogan. Because, fuck you, that's why. It could, a lot of things could happen, and I'm just glad that they didn't overcomplicate this Corbin thing. Like, this was a rare thing, and I think they understood at least that was a small thing that they could get rid of to increase fan morale, because, not gonna lie, dude, that pop when JoJo announced by the way, that was a different thing. JoJo announces the loser is Baron Corbin, which means he's no longer acting Raw General Manager. The place went fucking crazy. Like, it was one of those rare times of, I know this is fake, but yes, we got him. Like, I don't know.
This was well done. I liked this.
I will make the argument of part of the whole buildup was Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley. Why didn't they come out and save their boy?
Yeah, that's definitely something.
Whatever. We got a happy ending, and I'll take it.
In the grand scheme of things, with all the different problems that they've had on so many different things, I'll take that as a major win, because they could have done, and they would have, in a lot of regards, done a lot worse. And speaking of the idea of being able to do worse and whatever like that, I'll give credit where it's due. Natalya and Ruby Riott in their tables match. That was a better match than I was expecting that it would be.
I liked this one. I really did.
The one thing I liked the most was Liv Morgan's table spot. That was pretty wicked.
Oh my god. And I thought, like, she sold it like a champ too. She was really whimpering in pain, and it seemed like, oh shit, she's hurt. I liked the whole match. Whole match was really good. Ruby Riott's a lot better than you give her credit for. You need to jump on this.
Ruby Riott as an in-ring performer and all that, she has untapped potential. Promo-wise, she sucks. And she's not the character that she thinks that she is, in my mind. Like, the Riott Squad sucks. I still don't like the Riott Squad. And I still want Liv Morgan to do something else, and I still want Ruby Riott to be her own thing, and I still want Sarah Logan to just be like some Viking chick kind of thing. But the match itself with this, like, I haven't been digging the Natalya feud. I think that the sunglasses thing was stupid, and like pretty much everything that's been leading up to this, I've thought has been at best mediocre. But I liked it. It was fun to see her. The Liv Morgan thing alone was just, it was worth it enough for that, just because she flung herself back like the, most vicious trust fall you can think of, where she's just kind of like, yeah, I'm just going to, like, see what happens. Sarah Logan getting put through the table, that was flat. That was just a very simple body slam and whatever.
Body slam, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Liv
that was
Morgan
stupid.
Flew and the table broke clean in half. And I really liked that. And she looked like such a loyalist too, just pushing Ruby out of the way and taking that fall for her.
And the power bomb at the end with Natalya putting Ruby Riott through a table that had Ruby Riott's thing on there. That was a nice little touch. It's not winning any awards at the end of the year for me, but I liked it. This is the type of thing that very easily could have been lost in the shuffle, and on like these co-branded pay-per-views, this wouldn't have been something I would have thought would have been a worthwhile enough fight. But it managed to be that on this. So I give them a lot of credit. They did a lot with a little bit.
I liked it. I would have. So after I saw the table with Ruby Riott come out, my fantasy booking mind said Natalya should slam the one table with the anvil on it through Ruby Riott, so it looks like, Natalya and the anvil put Ruby Riott through a table. That's what I would have done. But I liked what they did.
Oh, there was one spot in this too that I liked, which was Ruby pulling the table down so that it could hit Natalya.
Yeah.
I like that. That was a
Natty
nice
had
little
her in
thing.
the sharpshooter, and Ruby saved herself by pulling the table with the anvil down onto Natalya. I liked it.
She dropped an anvil on her. This is some Wile E. Coyote shit.
Great.
She got that table at Acme and everything. Yeah, I like this a lot more than I thought I would. Unfortunately, even though that's the end of the feud and that's a good cap off, I still kind of don't like the Riott Squad, and I still think that this doesn't boost them up in my mind. So the big takeaway for this was just like, wow, that didn't suck. That was fun. And if you were to ask me like, do any of their stocks move up, I'd be like, nah. It really doesn't matter. So I don't want to see.
I think in a Ronda Rousey, in a world without Ronda Rousey, they would absolutely move up. But that women's title scene is on lock, unless we do a superstar shakeup where the Riott Squad can go back to SmackDown. Then I think we have something.
I'm assuming their next story is just the tag titles.
Yeah, I'd be okay with it though.
We then had Finn Balor versus Drew McIntyre, and I was surprised here and what happened, because I figured that this was a guaranteed Drew McIntyre win, and lo and behold, Finn Balor wins. But this is where I'm going to start nitpicking some things. Referee clearly saw Dolph Ziggler get involved. A chair was clearly involved with Drew getting hit from Balor. Why was there no disqualification?
And then the referee, Drew McIntyre, clearly slid the chair under himself so the coup de grace would have more meaning. Michael Cole calls the goddamn thing, and the referee's like, I should remove this chair. It almost seemed like the AI referee in the video game, just like, I need to get this chair out of the ring. And, it kind of ruined the finish. But oddly enough, and I'm going to ignore my own feelings and take the spot of Callum for a second, why are we still trying to make Dolph Ziggler a thing right now?
I don't know. I mean, you need somebody for fodder for the Intercontinental Championship a little bit,
Yeah, so Ziggler saves Balor, and we might as well talk about it now. They were interviewing Balor backstage, and Dolph came up and said, you can thank me later or whatever. And Finn Balor pulled him around to go, hey, I didn't need you. And they started brawling. And not only brawling, but Ziggler got the better of him.
And that was a pretty swift thing too. It's just kind of like, hey, fuck you, go eat some stage shit. And I was like, damn, all right, he fucking threw him in there. I like that.
It left me feeling like, wow, they're committed to Ziggler. I don't know how to feel, because I've trained myself to not get attached to Dolph Ziggler being pushed. Unfortunately, right now, unless they do the one-on-one feud I want them to do at WrestleMania, they seem to be nicely setting themselves up for the traditional, here's your
clusterfuck Intercontinental title match.
Yep. Here's your Intercontinental ladder match at WrestleMania. And I don't want that.
It's just tough because there are 6 weeks worth of Raw episodes before we get to the Royal Rumble. And you would think that the next step in this is Finn Balor wants a match with Drew McIntyre. Finn Balor wants a match with Dolph Ziggler. And either a true winner is determined or Drew McIntyre gets involved and starts fighting the both of them. And then somewhere we're going to get a triple threat. And I can't imagine that they get that triple threat going at Royal Rumble, because Royal Rumble used to be a spot where you would have the one Royal Rumble match, and then you'd have basically the 2 world titles and the women's titles and so on and so forth. But now that we have 2 Royal Rumbles, that's 2 hours worth of the pay-per-view already. And they don't have as much room for extra type of matches. They do have other matches on the card, but one of them's going to be a Cruiserweight Championship match. So that's already one thing. One of them is probably going to be a tag team title match because you can't incorporate the tag teams as much and stuff. And so on and so forth. I can only imagine that Balor, McIntyre, and Ziggler get a triple threat match at the Royal Rumble if they win the Intercontinental Championship in the meantime. And I don't think that that's happening. So now that that's off the table, do they do the triple threat match on one of the episodes of Raw leading up to the Royal Rumble? Like, say, when they do the tapings tomorrow, they do Balor and Ziggler, McIntyre gets involved, and then the week after that, the one that they air for Christmas, is when they go, that's going to be our Christmas chaos match, or whatever the fuck they want to call it. And it's a triple threat with a bunch of Christmas shit going on. You know?
No, but you said we have 6 weeks. We know that one of them, they announced it on the show, which is something they don't normally do. They already announced Finn Balor will fight Dolph Ziggler. So that's 1 week. So then you have 5 weeks. Now, the way I look at it, Drew McIntyre gets involved in that one. He gets a one-on-one with Dolph the week of Christmas. Balor gets involved in that one. He gets a one-on-one with Drew.
Wait. So you got Balor and Ziggler next week.
Yeah, then Ziggler McIntyre.
Like tomorrow night. And then you got Ziggler McIntyre again.
Yeah, then you get then you get Balor and McIntyre. Now you have 2 weeks. So then you just get another Balor Ziggler match. And then the final one before the Rumble is your triple threat. That's the way I see it happening.
Either way.
If I'm right, I'm not uncreative, I promise.
Either way, they're doing a triple threat somewhere along the line. And if these are 3 of the people that are going to be in that whole clusterfuck Intercontinental title match thing at WrestleMania, it's going to be really tough to have that happen over the next couple of weeks and then go through all of February and all of March and not feel like when WrestleMania comes along that it's like, my God, these people have been feuding forever, you know?
No, I feel like they'll get the Intercontinental Champion involved by February. Like, it'll be the Intercontinental Champion in a match with, let's say, Dolph, and it'll move away, but it'll somehow converge into all of these people at WrestleMania for the Intercontinental Championship. One thing I'm really not a fan of is I don't know. We need to start thinking who's going to win the Royal Rumble. People need to start showing themselves as potential Royal Rumble winners. These 3 would be prime candidates for that in my mind. But as it stands, I can't see them past Intercontinental level.
Well, you got Brock Lesnar holding the championship. I don't think any of these people have a shot at that. McIntyre would if he was a babyface, but that's not the case.
Not McIntyre. Balor's always one of my top picks for the Royal Rumble victory because they do like him. They do want to do stuff with him. I just think that they don't want him to leave Raw, right? But they don't want to utilize him as a main star on Raw because they don't want Brock Lesnar. They don't want Brock Lesnar to have to be afraid of the guy with paint on, you know? I think potentially in your head that's a good idea, but they don't want Lesnar to have to show fear of that.
I think if Balor wins the Royal Rumble, he's only winning it so he can challenge Daniel Bryan.
And they could do a lot with like the demons in Bryan's head versus the demon Balor. I don't know. I'm a fan of Balor winning the Rumble and going to SmackDown, but I also think they have bigger things in mind.
Yeah, I think that Balor right now is my like 8th pick for the Royal Rumble winner. It's really down to 2 people in my mind. It's Rollins and HBK. But we'll talk about that another time. Let's talk about the chairs match, because chairs matches fucking exist. And here's where we were talking earlier about the idea of the placement of the card. I don't think it's a good idea that they had done this match right after a match where a chair was the finishing result, because that match shouldn't have been including a chair at all. If they wanted to do the whole thing with Ziggler getting involved, then that's fine, but they shouldn't have had the chair. And I started actually writing up on my Bleacher Report post that was screwing things up and that I would put that as a low point. But Randy Orton and Rey Mysterio had a fun fucking match.
This was my I want to call it my number 2 match of the night, because I love these 2 guys and they did a lot of fun stuff. Specifically that the
bobsled type thing.
Yeah, yes.
That was my favorite part.
Like, Rey Mysterio is so good. I didn't like the finish. I'll say that, because I thought it was too sudden. But Rey Mysterio and Randy Orton, and if Callum was here, he'd say, Randy Orton's the most boring wrestler. When Randy's motivated, there's nobody better to me. And
Randy Orton as a wrestler is spaghetti and meatballs. Yeah, it's a little bland sometimes, but you know you're going to get something decent. You go to any worthwhile Italian restaurant and you order spaghetti and meatballs, it's kind of a waste because you could be getting so much better stuff in certain days and stuff. But at the same time, it's not going to be bad. You know, it's fettuccine Alfredo. It's like, it's just, that's how it works.
Okay, Randy Orton is forever a pasta dish.
You know, we can throw another food out there. If you go to a diner, he's pancakes. Diner pancakes are always good. If you fuck up pancakes at a diner, you don't deserve to have a diner. So Orton is reliable. You know, he's never going to give you a bad match unless there's something weird that happens, and everybody has their bad matches and stuff. But if he wants to turn on that switch and he wants to do something good, he can really fucking do it.
I'll say for this match, if you want to call Randy spaghetti meatballs, Rey Mysterio was damn sure the Parmesan cheese on top of that spaghetti meatballs. Because Rey Mysterio, even though he doesn't look as good as he did last year at the Royal Rumble, he looks awesome. He's fun. I was a big fan of this match. And, you know, thumbs up for me. Probably my number 2 or number 3 match of the evening.
If we had this Rey Mysterio throughout the whole time that I was always bitching and complaining about Rey Mysterio, I wouldn't be bitching and complaining about Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio is better now than he was in 2008. Or whatever it was. 2010, you know, I don't know, whatever the time frame was.
As he was leaving, like the 2012, 2013.
Like when he beat Jack Swagger for the title, like those kind of things, you know?
Yeah. But very, very good stuff. Very good stuff.
I'm surprised that they gave Mysterio the win. I would have thought that they would have kind of given this to Orton, but now that I think more about it, I can kind of understand it a little bit more, because he can use this to be like, well, I beat Randy Orton, I deserve a United States title match. Because I think that Shinsuke Nakamura is going to fight Rusev. He's going to beat Rusev, and then Rey Mysterio's next. So this gives him a boost. It makes sense. Randy Orton's the type of guy, he can just attack somebody and he'll figure it out.
What do you want to do with Rey at WrestleMania?
What I would want to do is I would want Rey Mysterio to lose the United States title to Andrade Cien Almas.
I like it. I'm with it. That's what I want to.
I think that Shinsuke Nakamura is better off in the Battle Royal. So give me Nakamura loses the title at Elimination Chamber, or better yet, at the Royal Rumble. And depending on what happens with who wins the Royal Rumble, you got to figure out potential people for an Elimination Chamber. And if, for instance, my theory is true that Shawn Michaels wins the Royal Rumble, he fights Daniel Bryan, well, then SmackDown doesn't have an Elimination Chamber. Then you do the Rey Mysterio Nakamura match at Elimination Chamber instead. You know, if somebody on the Monday Night Raw side wins, you know, the Seth Rollins wins, then SmackDown needs an Elimination Chamber, and then you need Rey Mysterio in there because you just don't have that many people. Then it would need to be like AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, Rusev, Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton, and Rey Mysterio or something. I don't know. But Almas is my go-to. I'd like to see him win.
I'm with it.
The next match was the Raw Women's Championship match between Ronda Rousey and Nia Jax, which proved all that much more that Ronda Rousey just keeps getting better. This was better than their Money in the Bank match, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, Ronda's really good. Ronda is... I hope that we get at least a good 3 more years of her as a wrestler because she's fun to watch. Yeah, she's not Brock Lesnar, and I think that's important. You know, she's fun to watch.
Yeah, she is somebody that when she screws up, and everybody screws up, but when she does, you can tell that she's kind of flabbergasted a little bit, and that's fine. But she hasn't been screwing up as much, and she's been doing more. Like, she's been kind of making things more fluid and taking more risks with not just sticking to what she knows. And the more time that's been going on with this, her very first match in WWE was April. And she's been holding down this WWE Championship for Monday Night Raw side of things in a way that I don't feel like it's unjustified. You know, like she should be the champion. Like she pulls it off, and I like this a lot. I don't like the Tamina Nia Jax pairing just kind of existing for the sake of existing right now before they have the tag titles to really do anything with. But, you know, whatever. That wasn't really that much of a factor in it. It was just a momentary kind of distraction. Ronda Rousey's now proven that she's above Nia Jax. She beat her twice, technically.
And, they said fuck you to Nia Jax tonight.
Yeah, they pretty much did.
They said fuck you. Like your role will be the women's tag titles if that's a thing, because I had been touting that you could do, you know, Becky Nia, and nope, Becky. Shortly after this match, fucked her up.
As soon as they did that, I was like, oh, okay, so Becky loses the title. Like, that immediately went, they're not going to do the Becky Nia match at WrestleMania. All the things that I had talked about them potentially doing that are completely gone. They've just theoretically, now I don't want people to jump to the conclusion here, but they theoretically buried Nia Jax. Because they made it a point to be like, Ronda Rousey beat her, but then it's like, all right, Becky Lynch got her shots in. We're over the Nia Jax thing.
I wouldn't say they buried her per se, but they definitely said, you are not the money here. You were the catalyst, but you are not the money.
Yeah. This is not the vehicle that's going to propel Nia Jax. I always called her Niles Jax. I don't know why. Niles from fucking Frasier is coming in. So that was a good match. Another good match that followed that was Daniel Bryan successfully defending the WWE Championship against AJ Styles, and I liked this match more than I thought I was going to as well, because I kind of figured that they had already done everything that they needed to do, but it was a refreshing change of pace to not have any kind of weapons involved and to just have a standard, solid, good wrestling match.
I'm gonna get super nitpicky about something. I don't like the new Daniel Bryan logo. I'm glad they're not doing the no, but it's dull and boring. It's just literally the letters DB. It's very minimalistic. It's everything I hate about design right now. But outside of that,
actually, I didn't even notice it.
Great match. I love the callback to the kick to the nuts that, you know, AJ sidestepped it like, I'm smarter than you, and he tried to roll him up, but Daniel Bryan countered the roll up because he's actually a smarter wrestler. And I love everything they're doing with Daniel Bryan. He looks like he's having a blast. I think he feels great that he doesn't have this pressure of, I need to be the hero. I need to be the yes guy. That's just me spitballing what I think the performer is thinking, because he looks like he's having so much fun. Doesn't he?
He does, but I'm not actually having all that much fun about it. I still want Daniel Bryan to be a babyface.
I think it was a hard role for him because they were doing stuff with him that he couldn't live up to. They weren't going to put him on Raw. He couldn't be that top babyface. And also, I think, even though, he came back from injury, the war was kind of over. There wasn't a giant heel for him to topple, especially because it's on SmackDown. Now, granted, if he was on Raw, where they have Lesnar, I think he would have beat Brock Lesnar when he came back. But the way they had him positioned, I think this was the best thing for him. He's tucked away. He's on SmackDown, which I don't care what you say, it's the B show. It's the reason Daniel Bryan had such a lackluster comeback is because he was on SmackDown, where it wasn't the main focus. And now he's doing something where he's having fun. I don't know if it leads to Shawn Michaels, but I think it has to lead to something. If it's going to be a big name, I kind of lean more towards Cena.
But yeah, Cena's a possibility, yeah.
But now I'm not even, with another weird elephant in the room, Cena came out the other day and said, oh, by the way, I'm sorry, but I'm not doing TV. So I don't even know where he fits in. I don't know.
If it's a surprise number 30 and it's not Shawn Michaels, I would lean more towards John Cena than The Rock, even at this point. Because I could see it being like John Cena, Daniel Bryan wanting to fight each other and that kind of thing. I could see that.
And the one benefit of that is I think Cena can really play up fighting either guy. Whereas last year, Shinsuke had to go for AJ because Shinsuke is not going to fight Brock Lesnar,
Yeah, that's true. And Bryan would end up retaining in both regards anyway. So, ultimately, it probably doesn't matter.
I don't think so. I think if it's Cena gets number 17.
Number 17? I'd be fine with it.
Absolutely.
I'd be cool with it. I want him to get that number 17. So, as long as it happens, it happens. And it should happen at WrestleMania, for that matter, too. Yeah, so that was a good match. Thumbs up on that. The Intercontinental Championship match was second to last. It was Seth Rollins against Dean Ambrose. Underwhelming. The fans started to chant that it was boring. And I don't blame them. It fell flat to me. Even the end, Dean Ambrose just gets the dirty deeds, pins him, and now Dean Ambrose is the Intercontinental Champion. And to me, I think it's going to end up being a mistake. I think that they're going to start booking Dean Ambrose into the stupid, cowardly heel type of thing because they don't know how to book him as the champion.
I think Dean Ambrose is going to become, for a while anyway, the epitome of mid-card, we don't know what to do with you right now. Remember when Kevin Owens was the United States champion? And he was like, I want to make America better, or whatever it was, for a little while where he's
going to fall into the same thing that Shinsuke Nakamura is doing with the United States title?
Yeah, but with a little more promo time.
Yeah.
And the way I want it is one-on-one Demon Balor beats Dean Ambrose at WrestleMania for the Intercontinental title. The way I think it'll happen is Balor, McIntyre, Ambrose, Ziggler, and potentially, if they're healthy, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens in a ladder match for the Intercontinental title.
And I could see... I think
Elias is somewhere in there.
That's where I was going to get to. I could see it being Elias, Bobby Lashley, Dean Ambrose, and Finn Balor. I don't think that McIntyre is doing that. I think McIntyre is fighting Kurt Angle.
So, onto this match. They were in a shitty spot. They had the most personal issue, the most reason for all of the apparatus that come with TLC, And they go, all right, boys, play
Keep it in the
inside
ring.
the rules now.
Yeah, this was a bitter rivalry, blood feud, super personal, all the things that you would think would lead into that, especially when one of the guys is calling himself the Lunatic Fringe, and he has a gimmick match named after him in the Ambrose Asylum match. And the fact that they didn't do that, I think, hindered this, because now, if they do, like, well, the two of them are going to fight in a street fight on, I don't know, January something or other.
Miracle on 34th Street. There's your Christmas.
Yeah, there you go. Miracle on 34th Street fight. And that's when Rollins loses his attempt at trying to win the title back, because he's not going to win the title back, because he's going to be, you know, the whole Elimination Chamber Royal Rumble type of situation. Baron Corbin probably is in the mix for that too, by the way, for the Intercontinental title thing.
Right, yeah.
So if you add another babyface on there, then that's where Ziggler comes in then. So Ziggler and Balor and Elias on the more babyface side of things. Lashley and Corbin and Ambrose. And you get your 6-man clusterfuck Intercontinental title match. There you go.
I hope we don't. I hope we get a 1-on-1, but I wouldn't be surprised. More about this match. The best part of it, the most intriguing part of it, this whole thing for a few weeks actually, is Renee Young. And I don't know how to feel about that. Renee Young really stood out in this match. She was like vehemently defending Dean Ambrose, even at one point saying, well, Dean took exception to Roman and Seth always wanting the adulation of the fans because that's not what the Shield was ever about. And like Michael Cole was like, that's his opinion, Renee. Commentary was so interesting for this because Renee was essentially a heel. Corey was really trying hard to push her buttons, where he goes, yeah, by the way, when he had that staph infection and he was injured, you just stay away from him? you think he just got bored? And like at one point, Michael Cole just goes, what is your problem, Corey? Call the match. Like,
was that the part where she said something about a Christmas cactus and he was just like, hipster?
Possibly. There was one point where Cole actually shut Renee down, and that was interesting to me, where I think Ambrose was talking to himself, and Renee said something, or started to, rather, and Michael Cole was like, Renee, he's talking to himself. He's acting crazy right now. You can't defend this. And she's like, well, he's focused. He's in the zone. Like, it was very interesting, and I think it was hard for the audience to not hear that, because that was the most interesting part of the match. And they tried really hard to have Ambrose look like kind of like they want to make him Raw's DIY or Raw's Tommaso Ciampa, and it's falling flat because I think it was too much to consume too quickly. You know, like one minute Ambrose just became a complete nut job. And Seth tried his hardest to show emotion, and the fans weren't having it, and it made the match suffer. And Ambrose wins 1, 2, 3. So where do you go?
You just have your obligatory rematch clause, and then by that point, Seth Rollins either wins the Royal Rumble or he wins the Elimination Chamber, and then he moves on to Brock Lesnar. And then Dean Ambrose is left with, well, kid, you got the Intercontinental title. What do we do? That kind of a thing.
I want there's a hidden gem on the network, just to edit it. The Iron Man and FCW with Ambrose and Rollins. And I really want Dean Ambrose to wear wrestling gear again. For that matter, I like the gear that Seth was wearing too. But they came across like completely different people. And Ambrose especially, I think he needs to tap more into the wrestler side. I don't care that he's a brawler and he wears jeans, and I don't
Sneakers.
care. I've never cared. I think it actually hurt him for me. I just want him to not like be a wrestler like a Dean Malenko, but like be Dean Ambrose, but also keep it in the ring. I'm not buying the lunatic.
And I don't think that holding that Intercontinental Championship is going to help that. I think that that's going to hurt him with that, because then their go-to thing is when you've got a heel champion and you don't know what to do with him, you make him a coward. And he's going to end up having matches with Elias and matches with Finn Balor. And all he's going to do is be like, hey, I'm like kind of quirky. And when you challenge me for a fight, I'm going to back away and not do it.
Like,
Unless they just say, fuck it, they have him lose the title like that, and they put it on, like, Lars Sullivan. You know? It could literally be just, we need to take the title away from Seth Rollins, let's put it on Ambrose, and then Ambrose can drop it in fucking January. Like, they could do something like that. Because Sullivan has to be doing something. I don't know.
I am kind of a fan of Sullivan beating the crap out of Ray. I think it's an easy feud, you know. Ray's so little, Sullivan's so destructive. We'll see. Oh, you know what?
Oh no, Sullivan's fighting Strowman.
Yeah, he's gonna cost Strowman the match with Brock.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Yep. I think it hit you and me at the same time.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I was just like, well, if he's doing that, then we have like 8 people and I was like, well, the only other people on the roster are Strowman. Strowman. Yeah, there you go. So they might as well just advertise it now. They might as well go, at Royal Rumble, everybody, Braun Strowman is going to lose to Brock Lesnar because of Lars Sullivan. And then we'll have Monster Among Men versus The Freak.
In the same way that Roman kept losing to Kevin Owens because Strowman would just come out of nowhere, Lars is going to do that, and there you go.
Yep, and Lars will beat Strowman at WrestleMania because Strowman at WrestleMania does not equal Happy Fun Time. They do not like Strowman at WrestleMania.
And also,
he does like Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, or he tags up with a fucking 10-year-old.
And at this point, you know, Sullivan is the shiny new toy. Strowman is not.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we just figured out.
There you go. We're figuring out WrestleMania as it's going, everybody. And unless Vince McMahon comes out tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw, takes a dump in the middle of the ring, and just goes like, I don't know, fucking SmackDown's on Tuesdays, going forward, no matter what, and Monday Night Raw ceases to exist, and that's going to Mondays and to Fridays for Fox instead, or I don't know, something weird. We know what we're getting now. Really, it's only a matter of, does Seth Rollins win the Royal Rumble, or does he win the Elimination Chamber? And whoever else does that, is it Shawn Michaels that fights Daniel Bryan, or what? Or John Cena, or, you know, whatever. It's happening. There you go. And we also know what's happening with the Royal Rumble on the women's side, because our main event was the SmackDown Women's Championship TLC match, triple threat between Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, and Asuka. And Asuka is the new champion, which I did not think was necessarily going to happen, because I had a little bit of faith that WWE would understand that you could do a champion versus champion match at Royal Rumble and it would work. Nope. Instead, and I am adamant about this, they said, shit, people want Becky Lynch. Well, we don't want Becky Lynch. We want Charlotte Flair. And then somebody went, how about we have Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch? And they went, all right.
Yeah.
So this is just hit the fast forward button. Asuka is going to have some match with Becky Lynch on SmackDown. Maybe it's on Tuesday, maybe it's the Tuesday after that, maybe it's January 10th, whatever the case may be. I don't know, maybe know that the 10th is a Tuesday.
It'll be the first one of the new year.
Probably, because that way they build something up, and it's just kind of like, all right, we're going to kick things off with Asuka versus Becky Lynch, and, you know, that's going to be a great way to start off the new year and all that kind of stuff. And Charlotte Flair will get involved or something, where there'll be some kind of double DQ or, you know, whatever. And Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch are the last two in the Royal Rumble. They both go over at the same time. We do a repeat of 1994 and 2005 to a certain extent. 94, we had 2 winners. 2005, they decided, let's not have 2 winners.
Which real quick, that annoys me because they were both going anyway, and they had separate brands. Why didn't you just go? This is the Raw winner. This whatever.
That would have made the most sense in the world, but of course that's not how WWE does things, which is why it was so surprising that the Baron Corbin thing went down, making perfect sense, because it was like, oh my god, you did something logical, what the hell? So then Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair are co-winners of the Royal Rumble. They both decide that they want to fight Ronda Rousey, and that's how we get Ronda Rousey and all that. Meanwhile, Asuka holds the SmackDown Women's Championship, and I guarantee if I could be a fly on the wall with a video camera right now, and they are in the meeting, I guarantee you they're saying to themselves, we'll figure it out. And they have no plan.
You know what? The WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal can throw this plan of monkey wrench, but I wouldn't be surprised. Do you remember when Bliss was champion and they just did a free-for-all or like a six-pack or whatever?
And that's so stupid. Because Asuka against anybody, literally, at this point on the SmackDown brand, is not a big match. Asuka versus Naomi. They used to be friends for 2 fucking weeks. Who cares? Asuka versus the Iconics.
But the Naomi thing is the best one-on-one match we can get. And I think it would give Naomi a match she deserves. But do I think it happens? I think they're more concerned about getting everybody on the card.
I think that they're literally only concerned at this point of, we need to get the title off of Becky and we need to do the triple threat with Ronda. And the Asuka thing is like, we didn't give Asuka the championship. She's the next best option. She got a big pop with the whole idea of Survivor Series. Let's put the belt on her instead of somebody else. And if they do, like Asuka versus, let's just say like Asuka versus Sonya, Asuka versus Naomi, Asuka versus Carmella, fucking Asuka versus Carmella versus Naomi versus Sonya, whatever. If they do that, they might as well just throw it on the pre-show.
You know, I don't want to put too much faith in them. I really don't. But let's just fucking stop pretending like they don't run a fake company and they can do whatever they want. Find another way to get Charlotte and Becky on Raw. Let Ember Moon win the Royal Rumble. Do Asuka and Ember Moon.
No, definitely not happening. I would bet more that Asuka fights anybody else in a singles match on the SmackDown side than that she fights Ember Moon.
You know what? You had an idea about randomly inserting Nia into the chamber. Insert Ember Moon into that chamber. Do Ember Moon and Asuka, and then do a triple threat between Becky, Charlotte, and Ronda. I would love that so much. And I know that my feelings are irrelevant to this company, but how good would that be on the main stage?
If you are telling me, all right, you have, it's like midnight after TLC, now you can book the rest of the card for like WrestleMania and stuff, and you can't go back in time. What are you doing, Tony? I'd be like, all right, well, fuck, you kind of screwed me over a little bit here, but I'd go, all right, well, you have to do the Charlotte, Becky, Ronda triple threat because they forced my hand on that one. And if Asuka's the champion, what do I do with Asuka? Well, I give her a blank opponent. I say Asuka wins. Asuka is going to fight whoever wins the Women's Battle Royal, which I would call the Queen of the Ring, and do that whole thing that we were talking about before. And who wins that? Shayna Baszler.
That's how I got to Ember Moon, because I was going to say Shayna Baszler, and then I said, who did she beat for the belt? Oh, she beat Ember. Give us
Actually, Ember. No, I'm going to go back on that now. Shayna Baszler, no. Because Shayna Baszler needs to stick around in NXT longer than WrestleMania, so that way when they take the time off, because I'm assuming that Ronda Rousey's going to take a little bit of time off. She might not take off like 7 months or something like that, or 9 months to have a kid or something like that, but I'm assuming she's going to take at least 2 months off or something like that. We had seen reports that on the whole switch over to Fox that they want Ronda Rousey on SmackDown. So Ronda Rousey loses the title to Becky Lynch or Charlotte at WrestleMania. She takes a little bit of time off. Asuka keeps the championship all the way until Ronda Rousey goes to SmackDown. And Ronda Rousey beats Asuka for the title. So what do you do with Shayna Baszler? Shayna Baszler sticks around in NXT for a little bit while longer, and she helps with the whole Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir thing because they still are just getting started, and they need a little bit of time to work things out. So, yeah, I'd probably actually go with maybe Kairi Sane wins, and she gets boosted up to the main roster. Or Alexa Bliss, if she's able to, she wins the Queen of the Ring type of thing or whatever, and she tries to fight Asuka and loses. Like, Asuka retains the title against whoever she fights.
You know what?
Or maybe you just say, fuck it, and you have Asuka defend the title in a battle royal.
You know what? I'm putting my foot down. I'm going to dream this dream until they stomp all over it. Give me Asuka and Ember Moon at WrestleMania, and I'll be honest, that match could main event for me, and I would not care. I know,
get ready to get stomped.
I am one person, but I'll say this. I have stuck to my guns that Ronda will not main event this year. She will not. I'm sorry, but unless they say Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar, Daniel Bryan versus Rey Mysterio, and Ronda Rousey has a one-on-one match, or even a triple threat. If the men's matches don't hold up, then Ronda can main event. But God forbid we get Shawn Michaels, or The Rock, or even John Cena. Ronda's not main eventing.
Oh no, she definitely is. She definitely is. It's the only way is if The Rock is involved. Then he is main eventing. But if it's not The Rock, even if it's Cena or if it's Shawn Michaels, they're gonna go underneath the Ronda thing. Guaranteed. Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair is the main event at WrestleMania.
I'll say this. I think I don't want to get hate, but you're doing it just to do it, and it's wrong. Unless you give me a situation where the men's matches don't hold up. And I'll be honest, I'm a huge Seth Rollins guy. If it's Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar, by all means, Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair. But in any of the scenarios presented, you're doing it just to do it, and that's wrong.
There's plenty of things that they do just to do it.
But I do want to mention, you said the whole thing about wanting Ronda on SmackDown. I think that's the main reason the brand split ends. Because they don't want to have to decide who gets Brock and who gets Ronda.
I just assume Brock's staying on Raw.
Well, SmackDown is on a network now, and I know that they want more sports presentation. That's all the more reason for Brock to be on both shows.
Unless
I don't know. We could be talking.
Unless they really double down on SmackDown, and they end up making it where they're like, okay, Brock loses the title to Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, and then Brock pops up and does SmackDown things too, because he's still wrestling on the same pay-per-views. It's still co-branded. You know, I don't know. Either way,
we could be talking 24 hours from now, and it literally was Vince McMahon took a shit in the ring. And
yeah, who has any idea what he's got? I still think it's just going to be to announce that Lars Sullivan's in the mix and or the new general manager, and that's it. But we could get some kind of weird things going on. I think more than likely we know right now what's happening at WrestleMania. It's Rollins, Lesnar, triple threat with the Ronda Rousey thing, Asuka against. We don't fucking care. We're WWE and we'll figure it out. Even if we don't, and if we don't figure it out, then the fans will get good enough matches. And if they bitch and complain, we're going to just not listen to them anyway. Tag titles for the women, like so on and so forth. I think that we know where we're getting.
And right now, the only thing I will feel comfortable saying I know what I'm getting is Lars Sullivan screws Braun Strowman out of the Universal title at the Royal Rumble, and Ronda Rousey will fight Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair, who will start I'm saying it, they will start the fucking Rumble 1 and 2, go all the way, and go over.
Yeah, they might do that too, just to make it be like, see, it's extra special.
Because they're women and they did the thing. I think they're doing it.
I don't know, we'll see. We got 6 weeks before that happens, so obviously over the next couple of weeks we will be talking about this ad nauseum. But that's our wrap up for TLC. Some good, some bad, some really depressing things that we are not necessarily looking forward to, some things that we're really looking forward to. It's kind of a mixed bag. So I want to know what you guys have to say in the comment section below. Drop those comments, tell us what you think, and make sure that you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications, because the next thing that's going to be happening on this YouTube channel is the mailbag. So send in your questions for the mailbag, and keep in mind as well, we're doing that on Wednesday or potentially Thursday. I'm assuming Wednesday though. Wednesday's more than likely. So we don't know necessarily what's happening with the whole Monday Night Raw thing until after Monday Night Raw, but we might be able to incorporate that into some of the talk when it comes to the mailbag. I don't know. If you ask us anything about like what is the best whatever of the year, we're going to hold that most likely, because it's probably going to be covered in the end of the year awards, which will be coming up the week after the mailbag. That's like your, end of the year gift kind of a thing. And then by that time, we'll be into the new year and we'll be getting into the one to watch and the future endeavors forecast. So that's what you guys have to look forward to coming up. And then we start getting into the whole Takeover Blackpool, Takeover Phoenix, Royal Rumble, all, the onslaught of pay-per-views that are happening from January to April. And just strap yourselves in for that ride, everybody, because it's going to be a bumpy one. So make sure to like this, make sure to favorite it, make sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at SmarkOutMoment. Hit up that Patreon if you want to share your support for things on the monetary side, and throw some spare change towards some kind of special tiers or something that you might be interested in for that. There's the TeePublic, there's the Redbubble, so those merch shops are where you'll find those t-shirts. I actually just put up something yesterday that I was like, why the fuck didn't I think of this before, which is No Homers Club. It's a Bullet Club parody of Homer Simpson. So grab that before The Simpsons or WWE or whatever try to take it down, because even though WWE is not a Bullet Club thing, they take things down that they have no fucking right to. Like, they've taken down Smark Out Moment things before, whatever.
Here's the one you need to grab before it gets taken down. It's the Daniel Bryan parody, Fickle, Fickle, Fickle.
Yeah, that one is definitely going to get taken down. So grab the Fickle one while you can. And just stay tuned for all that stuff. Follow fanboysanonymous.com. Some people have been saying that they don't know what Fanboys Anonymous is on the feedback thing, which is like, I say it all the time. So if you listen to this and you don't know what Fanboys Anonymous is, just go to fanboysanonymous.com. That's all you need to do. I mention it all the time. That's a plug side for me. Just check out eWrestling News, check out Bleach Report, and all the other things that I've got going on. If you start clicking around, you'll find a lot of my shit. Rob?
Follow me on Twitter at DudeFelice. I'm strongly considering changing that to Wrestle News Rob, but I don't know. Seems like it'd be too much of a hassle. Follow eWrestling News, because I start there in the morning at 9 o'clock. And then, of course, after that, I go over to WrestleZone, and you should go over to WrestleZone, because it's your daily source for all wrestling news. And on Tuesday, Kevin Kellum will be interviewing AJ Styles for WrestleZone, so check that out. Time Killer Apparel, because that is the one thing I do that's not wrestling related, and you can buy yourself a nice t-shirt, hoodie, leggings are coming for you ladies out there. If any of you listen to this, God bless you. Beanies, snapback hats, dad hats, everything. Check out Time Killer Apparel, check out eWrestling News, check out WrestleZone. Follow me everywhere at DudeFelice. That's it for me. Callum's not here, but follow him on Twitter at Wigmeister14. Am I missing anything?
I don't think so. I think that's about it. So thank you for listening to this, everybody. And we will see you next time around with the mailbag. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.